The Agile Toolkit. Hi, I'm your host, Bob Payne. I'm here with Natalie Warnert here at the Scrum Gathering 2016. And so, Natalie, last time we chatted was, I think we saw each other at
Agile Des Moines.
Agile Des Moines.
I'm sure we ran into each other at Agile 2015 too.
Yeah, Agile 2015. And in Des Moines, you were talking about metrics. And I know you had a couple of talks that you were talking to me about. One coming up, an Agile 2016, the Women in Agile program.
Yeah.
And then you had at least one talk here.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see what was happening in your world.
Yeah. So the session here was called Houston, We Have a Priority.
Okay.
And it was about looking at mapping value both from a business perspective, but also from the customer perspective. So in the session we did a couple activities where we looked at some features based on, some value numbers, right?
Okay.
So more monetary type things, cost of investment and return on investment, cost of delay, some of those types of things, and kind of did a sorting horizontally, and then
so sort of classic business value
exactly
sort.
Yeah, and that I was talking about value as a verb, right? I value this feature at $50,000, right? So that's what kind of the business value side of it. Then we looked at the customer value side, right? So what is the customer actually getting out of this? How do they see value in it? So in this case, I'm using value as a noun.
Okay. And is this more like the engagement, or what is the problem they're solving, or?
It's a little bit of both, right? But do we really care how much money this feature is going to make us if the customer is not going to use it, right? If they're not even going to like it. So we looked at it from a Keynote analysis point of view. So what are our delighters? What are our performance features? What are our basic features? I like to call that the moron factor. How stupid do we look if we don't have this? Right? So, if we don't have this basic functionality, it doesn't matter if we have the coolest thing ever if they can't do basic things they need to do. So how do we look at value as a noun and value as what the customer wants? So then what we did with that horizontal valuation is we moved cards vertically. We kept them in the same positions but moved them up and down based on delight, performance, basic features, and kind of said, all right, now what scope would we cut off?
So how do you sort of rejigger that? Do you sort of look at a sort of diagonal line across as maybe a sort of a indicator of if it's low business value but high customer value, that might be in, or I'm sure it's not quite. You're not going to do it quite that simply. Yeah,
you kind of look at more what's over on the right. That's what we're saying is more monetarily valued, and then we look at what's the right bottom, basic features that are going to make us money. Also, you kind of look at the whole bottom, right?
Right, sure.
The whole bottom line, which is the basic features that we just need to be competitive. And then we look kind of more at the top right, which is our delighters that are potentially going to make us a lot of money. The customer is really going to like them, or maybe it's going to flop. But and then we kind of just cut off a lot of the stuff over in the top left and middle. And that's where you draw your scope line. So it's kind of a weird curve.
How did you tie in the whole space thing?
I didn't. I put in the title.
So you faked the moon landing. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So it was a great. It was a really fun session. I think it got people talking and realizing that it's not really this or that. It's both. How do we get that balance? And then kind of talking about the different levels of the organization, our different levels of development stack. Right. We have our portfolio, our program, our team level. They're all going to look at those valuations a little bit differently too. ROI is very important at the top. Customer is very important at the team. Program level really needs to look across everything and really map out that value stream. So, just talking through what those different things look like, and how we can all be kind of speaking the same language. So at least we're aligned on priority based on what we need to do to run the business, but also build the right thing.
Right, and I think when we were chatting yesterday, I think one of the things that came to my mind is you could really use any two dimensions of value, sort of figure out what's most important for your business.
Right.
In a governmental organization, it might be compliance with the the laws as laid down by Congress.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, we
that,
talked. I talked about putting efficiency in there. Is it time to market? Right? Is that a really important thing to us? Is that more important to us than making money? So how do we kind of switch out some of those things, and you can really use the exercise and be flexible with that. So.
I just had a vision of a three-dimensional using Legos to lift the card higher and pulling it closer or
I thought
further
about
away.
that too. I'm like, you could put a third dimension. I like the Legos. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out,
I was thinking building blocks, but I like Legos.
Sure. You could definitely do it in a virtual world in an easy way, but maybe just get in Minecraft and...
Yeah, another way I was thinking about doing it was, maybe you first start out with your two measures that are the most important to you, and then after you cut the scope, then you add in that third measure and really figure out what is the top priority thing that we need to do.
You could, one of the things, just to keep it 2D and simple, you could just have people assign a third value with dots or colored, red, yellow, green stickies.
Yeah, I'm thinking on it. I want to try and make a video on the exercise, just so it's a little bit easier for people to visualize that weren't able to be at the talk. But I'm also doing a very similar talk at Agile 2016. It has a different title. It's not the space one. But yeah, so I'm going to take the feedback that I get here and try and incorporate some of those things in there for 2016.
Yeah, I think one thing that's sort of is super important, and I don't think it's covered in a lot of the basic training, is we have this idea that product owners here, especially at Scrum world, we talk about the product owner.
We do.
And they come up with a priority, and that's great. So a ton of people have been bringing a ton of different techniques for a while now to the product owner, but I think, giving them different tools to think about. Certainly the delivery and engineering folks have been well served for a long time. Testers have been on board for a long time. It's time to get back around to building the right thing and not just building it right.
Yeah, exactly. It's all of that. And I think we've found too that product ownership doesn't scale real well, right? Especially when we have multiple levels of product ownership, product management, and when we see that, priorities get very convoluted because, it's important here, and then this thing's important here. Yeah. And a lot of that's just communicating, but giving some of those tools so that everyone can get in a room together and discuss what does priority mean to us and what are the things that are the most important in putting that to the top of the stack. So.
Yeah, cool. What about the Women in Agile program that I don't know how far along you are with the development of that?
So it's going to be the Sunday afternoon before Agile 2016. I'm not sure what the date is offhand, sometime end of July, right? And it's going to be about 3-4 hours. We're going to have a keynote. I'm trying to get an executive, a woman executive from somewhere around Atlanta, hopefully, so they don't have to travel too far. But that's TBD, and if anyone wants to send me suggestions, please do. And then afterwards, it's going to be kind of a lean coffee type thing. We're going to have some seated topics, and really just to get people talking about...
Multiple breakouts of lean coffee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And so we'll have some seated topics. We'll have some facilitators, really to talk about how we get more women involved within the Agile community. I was talking to Dave Pryor earlier today, and I said over the last 4 years that I've been more actively coming to these things, I've seen, a tremendous growth in the amount of women that have been here.
Yeah. The early days were there were a lot fewer than there are today, so that's great.
Yeah, so we're getting more women to show up, seeing more speakers slowly, those types of things, but how do we continue growing that? How do we get more people in to speak, more women in to speak? How do we get more women writing things and blogging, doing those types of things? Just get those ideas flowing and really starting to break down some of the the barriers that that we all kind of put on ourselves. As far as I don't have time to do that, or I don't know how to start, I don't know how to break into that.
Right.
Getting some of that stuff broken down, I'm hoping that this Women in Agile program will help to do that. Even just getting people to meet each other, right, and getting that support network built.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Cool.
Yeah.
What else? What else is happening? How do you feel like the gathering so far?
I love it. I haven't been to Scrum Gathering in a couple years, so it's nice to get back into this community. Love the theme. Love the weather. It's beautiful outside. I wish I had been outside
When we get
a little
outside.
more. Yeah. I know the sun's out, so that makes me happy. But yeah, I mean, it's grown tremendously too. I mean, as with the number of women, this is the biggest one so far. I think the first Scrum Gathering I was at, there were only about 600 people. 5, 6. No, it's probably less than that. And it's doubled since then. So that's
Right.
awesome.
First one I was at was like 100 or so.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I love it. Seeing a lot of my old friends and
Yep.
meeting some new folks too. So
Good.
it's very well run.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the talk.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Thanks.